Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you game 2 in a series between Elfi and Strelok. We have a Mouse Strelok spawning as the green Terran player spawn over here at the 3 o'clock location. Meanwhile, we have Elfi spawning as the blue Protoss. So Protoss versus Terran. Strelok and Elfi decided to switch up their colors on me just to annoy me a little bit, making me have to change this guy over here. Yeah, and Mouse Strelok, and good luck, have fun. Talking about the last game, if you guys didn't see it, it was a really nice rush, a triple Colossus rush, very early on Lost Temple. Hopefully you guys are watching these games in order. If not, go ahead and check it out. And if you guys like to look at build orders, that Elfi's build was pretty solid, and I think he would have been able to hold it off if he had just tried to focus down some of the Vikings and saved his Colossus a little bit better. Now on in game 2, it is going to be Elfi versus Strelok. It is cross spawn here on Metalopolis, so there are a number of options that people can and that both of these players can go for. I'm expecting a much more macro style of play, just because of the walking distance between these two bases is so large. A large walking distance generally leads toward multiple bases, a second base, more likely a third base, and higher tier units. I want to see more upgrades. I didn't see that many upgrades coming in from the last game, and that's just pretty much what I'm looking for. Assimilator is now down by Power Elfi, or Elfi, and now back over here we see one barracks and a supply depot on the front door. I like the supply depot on the front door from Strelok just because it allows you to gain sight early on in the game. This probe, he does see that there is a supply depot here, so he knows exactly where his opponent is, but at the same time, Strelok also knows that if a probe would ever try to sneak inside its base at this point, he would be able to scout it out with that supply depot. One Marine now being trained up. We also have the refinery in play, and we'll see if Mouse tries to go for a tech lab or if he goes for a factory. Both options pretty viable. This is more of a crossbind, and oh, the probe now trying to come in, trying to deal some damage, but the Marine will be popping out, and there it is to try to defend his not his brother, but I guess his companion on the map. One probe now walking back up that ramp again. It looks as though we are going to be having what I believe to be a factory next. One Marine now trying to deal some damage towards that probe. It will be able to escape, not causing it to live and fight and perhaps mine more minerals another day. SCV coming down the ramp sees that there is, or coming down this little strip here, sees that there is a second assimilator down, and now probes are being transferred to it. So we may have a much stronger, once again, a much stronger tech game coming in from Elfi. Back over here, the tech lab is now down, and now we are going into a Reaper. So it looks like this is going to be a Reaper expand. And it is in fact going to be a Reaper expand. Mouse Strelok setting up an expansion, building that command center at a mere 4 minutes and 10 seconds into this game. After he saw the assimilator go down, he knew he was pretty safe in trying to build up a stronger army. However, Power Elfi can try to change things up. No, he is now going for a robotics facility, not going to go for any additional gateways. And I was going to say, if he pushed out with a lot of sentries with guardian shields deal significant amounts of damage, and now a factory being placed down. So a factory being placed down over here on this tech lab. I'm kind of curious about this as why the factory is actually built down here. Normally the factory wants the reactor, and you also need a tech lab there. We have a Reaper, and the Reaper, gonna get quickly shot down by that Stalker. That Reaper taking a lot of damage already. The Stalker now returning back, wanting to make sure that he is able to protect the mineral line. We now see an observer being trained, and this one Reaper could probably just activate Zelnaga watchtowers and try to get some scouting this way. So one scouting Reaper, in order to do essentially scouting, the Stalker is going to be able to come in and perhaps get 1-2 more shots. One more shot would be enough to take it down. I believe the Stalker is not going to be able to catch up as that Reaper just flies off the cliff. Same movement speed, and now have to settle for just activating a Zelnaga watchtower instead. The Reaper did see that there was another probe activating this tower, so that probe already running away, and you're gonna see that the Reaper now catches sight of that probe. Not quite sure why he's going around, and now in comes that Stalker. The Stalker looking to get that Reaper, and that Reaper just barely hiding away once again. So I'm very curious as to, now we have Marines making sure that there are no proxy pylons. Observer now flying in over here. We now also see double Marines being trained, so this may just be a straight up Marine tank Marine group, but we also have a starport as well. So this is This is not your standard 1-1-1 build at all. Having a reactor here, factory here, and now getting that starport. The Reaper is still doing, SCV now doing some scouting at the natural expansion. One observer just hanging outside the front location here, and now Marines and tanks on the move. We see a Viking now being trained, and now SCVs are being transferred to that low ground. The orbital command also will be able to land here in just a moment and allow for mining off of more minerals. One SCV a little bit too gung-ho, two of them now too gung-ho, as that one orbital command will be able to land in just a moment, and now they are all going to return their minerals. Back here, a barracks has been placed down, and now a factory going for that. Going for the reactor. Are we going to get the Infernal Pre-Igniter research? That is going to be a key question there, as we should also be getting the tech lab onto that barracks, and especially for combat shield and stim pack. Combat shield obviously gives Marines 10 additional hit points, making them much more durable, not able to be one-shotted after a stim pack. And also the stim pack also allowing them to deal more damage as they fire, I believe 50% faster. So yeah, making them much more effective. Back here, Power Elfi does have, what, 4 assimilators up, not mining off of one of those, though. So Power Elfi just trying to get a strong economy going. We have the Infernal Pre-Igniter research going, and both players just still sitting on 2-base play. A barracks now going to be transferred over here, and it looks as though Strelok now not going to be going for Marine Tank, completely changing it up and going to be going into Mass Mech. It is going to be a Metavacs for a drop, Hellions with that Blue Flame research, and then perhaps mass siege tanks and Hellions with the Vikings as air support. That is a very strong mech style of play. Those Hellions deal a lot of damage towards light units like those Zealots. Zealots get eaten up by that Blue Flame research. We now have currently 2 Hellions in the ready, and now we are getting additional factories. So yes, it is going to be a mass mech play. And I have not seen mech play in quite some time. A lot of people have been complaining about too much MMM, so this is definitely not an MMM game. We now currently have the medevac trying to fly around the corners of the map. The observer is still here. No Hellions have been revealed to that observer, as 2 additional factories are coming into play. Where is that starport? The starport now building a reactor over here, so it is going to be double Vikings. So double Vikings, and then what, perhaps a Thor or 2 as well. I cannot imagine Thors all too much, as there is not that much light air units coming in from a Protoss player, and now a reactor and a tech lab. So it is going to be 4 factories, 2 with reactors, 2 with tech labs, meaning a lot of siege tanks and Hellions. Siege tanks are getting that level 1 weapons upgrade as well. And now let's go into the production tab. As you can see, what's currently being trained, mules being called down, and now in comes the medevac. The medevac looking to deal some damage. It doesn't look like, oh, stalkers with stalker blink completely cleaning up this over here. And that medevac now down to 46 hit points. Will it be able to drop? Yes, drops 2, and now gets some damage onto some of those probes, but not very successful at all. Elfi, very successful in deflecting and blocking what could have potentially been a lot of damage across multiple probes. Stalkers are now in the ready to try to do another push now that Elfi was able to fend off that attack there. We now see a 3rd Nexus being placed down by Power Elfi. I don't see an additional command center coming in. Siege tanks are sieging up. Marines perhaps should be going inside there. There is a missile turret and now a bunker being placed down here. And this is going to be a problem, especially as Stalkers are going to be able to stalker blink in. Siege tanks now sieging up. Stalkers just blinking straight into this position here. And now Hellions coming in, and now very nicely done. Power Elfi with a very impressive attack force here has Colossus. He needs to pull back with some of those units as those Stalkers are trying to engage. And the Colossus has the extended thermal lance range. Stalkers should be able to just blink and now attack, but are they going to try to blink? No, they are not going to try to blink into this group here, but they were able to clean up and deal some damage there. During that time, the Nexus is now about 2/3 of the way complete, and Power Elfi with a significant economic and tech advantage. Stalkers being able to blink around the map will be able to zero in on that zero range, or get within that zero range on siege tanks very easily. The siege tanks are upgraded only 1-0 at this point. Level 2 weapons upgrade now starting as well. Missile turrets once again being replaced down. The missile turrets act both as a deterrence against Colossus and also a deterrence against observers, as that's the only way that Stalkers are able to actually blink up onto that high ground with sight. So siege tanks and Vikings now being trained, and now Strelok macroing up a very large army, calling down mules, and is now back in this. Will he be able to fend this off, as now we have the Stalkers now trying to push in once again. Hellions looking to deal some damage, and oh, more attacks coming in. The Vikings may be able to get some damage, and no, the Stalkers may be able to get one or two of those Vikings, maybe one of those Vikings, but the Colossus, one of those Colossi were taken down, and now in comes some Hellions. So 6 blue flame Hellions now coming over here. Stalkers are in the ready, trying to get some damage across many of those probes, and then blinking right in front of the path. Beautiful blink by Power Elfi there. And now the Hellions going to come in from that far side, getting even more of those probes. 2 Hellions now coming in, or they're just going to simply go up that ramp. There is one High Templar, and that High Templar doesn't want to get taken down, trying to run away, and oh, the High Templar just somehow ignoring all that damage so far, and now going after some more of those units. Hellions just torching their way through this mineral line, and wow, with a very small army, was able to deal a lot of damage. So Power Elfi losing a couple of probes, probably in the realm of 10 to 12 probes between all the bases there. And now Power Elfi is perhaps behind in mineral, or behind in probe count. Yes, 53 compared to 60. But Mouse Strelok is only running off of 2 bases, only 20 or 16 mineral patches instead of 24. So Power Elfi, as long as he's able to hold off what is going to be a very, very large attack, should be able to transition into the mid-game very successfully. Vikings in the air. Vikings in the current group number, I cannot... current group number 7 Vikings, and now siege tanks and SCVs are trying to move out. Colossus now trying to pull back as well. Those Colossus and Stalkers just wandering around, and now more missile turrets being placed down. So almost a classic Brood War strategy, using SCVs in order to build a lot of missile turrets. And with these missile turrets, offering detection against any Dark Templar, and also being able to spot some observers as well. Hellions now quickly coming in and running into a group of Zealots and Stalkers here. And now in come the siege tanks. Vikings now making their way over into this base. We can see another group of missile turrets coming in. That missile turret making sure that there are no observers nearby, and also acting as a little bit of stationary defense against Colossus. But Colossi do have a better range. One Stalker quickly sacrificing himself in getting shot down by multiple siege tanks. So those siege tanks are now getting taken down. Hellions looking to try to deal some damage, but are not going to be able to, as there are a lot of cannons here. So cannons are not going to be able to run in, and both sides are now just going to walk around each other in just a moment, and perhaps try to engage, taking down some of those units, and now perhaps taking down this command center here, and now catching completely Mouse Strelok completely off guard. That command center will get shot down in just a moment. Down it goes. And now there are also some High Templars as well. This may become a base race, and a base race in just a moment, as those Hellions are now trying to rush in. Vikings in the air, both sides fighting back and forth. Zealots with Zealot charge will be able to zero in on these locations very, very easily. Stalkers now simply blinking up onto that high ground, and both sides just trying to race to see who can deal the most damage. Siege tanks not even bothering to be in siege mode, as they have a higher DPS, but some of those siege tanks in the back are not even fighting at this stage. Colossus and Stalkers continuing to battle it out. High Templars could... oh, High Templars are now getting shell damage, and losing 2 High Templars there. That was pretty needless, as Strelok now losing his 2 siege tanks on the far side of the map. We now see more siege tanks. More units could be warping in here, as long as those gateways are still powered. Yes, they are. And now they are, in fact, warping in additional units here. So we have a couple of Stalkers continuing to move out. Zealots cleaning up the base, and I believe that Power Elfi has a stronger army at this time in the base, and the fact that there are perhaps a couple probes. No, I do not see any probes anywhere. So with the SCVs that with the SCVs that Strelok has with his group, he's going to be able to rebuild his base much more easily than his opponent. Command center now taken down. Factories are now getting taken down. All these SCVs need to run for their life, but with the splash damage on those Colossi are going to be able to quickly take down those SCVs before they're able to do anything at all. Siege tanks now shelling away here. A Nexus being placed down over here on the bottom right-hand side of the map. As this base race continues, one starport now going to land in the vents over here and now hide itself. It will not be revealed anytime soon, just because another command center has been completed. So both players are not worried about being revealed at this time, and I am surprised that during this time Elfi didn't build some additional tech buildings. He really needed some additional tech buildings. He also needs a lot more minerals. He's currently supply locked at 100 over 32. And that is going to severely hurt him. Army-wise, 4950 versus 4450. Both sides about even as this game now rolls on. A lot of Zealots and a couple Colossus are now coming in over here. Probes are waiting. The probes should just warp in some additional pylons and perhaps start their tech. Back here, we have one assimilator, one command center, not upgrading to an orbital command just quite yet, and both sides have taken heavy casualties. Barracks will be completed and then most likely upgrade to an orbital command here. One of the benefits of Terran is that they can mine with mules even though they are supply locked. So in the base race situation, it really benefits the Terran player in that situation. But now we see a lot of probes now being transferred away. We also see some Hellions coming in. So those Colossus are going to be able to intercept those Hellions and get a lot of damage, as we had one Stalker activating that Xel'Naga watchtower. The Hellions now on the lookout for what they expect to be a lot of probes. The probes are going to try to run away. Is it going to be able to get enough damage on those probes? It looks like it, yes. A lot of probes have been taken down. One more probe left. Zealots now quickly zeroing and charging onto those Hellions over there, and many of those probes have pretty much been taken down. One High Templar, that is the last probe, and wow, no more probes coming in from Power Elfi. That is a problem. He is not able to warp in anything. He's not able to build anything at all at this stage, so that is a really bad situation for him to currently be in. He was not careful. He didn't separate his probes, and now pretty much Power Elfi is in an all-in situation. He needs to lose units in order to be able to train up any probes, and that always is a problem. Stalkers now on the move. There is still one starport hiding off over here. More SCVs are currently building supply depots here. Mules are being called down. Siege tanks now in position as well, perhaps trying to figure out where exactly they can go. We also have some High Templars as well, so those High Templars, if they're able to get some Psystorm on some key units, and oh, 2 Hellions quickly lost, and that is going to hurt Strelok as well. Army-wise, 4950 versus 3550, but this is an entrenched Terran player. Zealots with Zealot charge, now trying to charge in here. Stalker's going to quickly blink into this location here. Vikings now going after the Colossus. The Stalkers now going after those units here. Psystorm quickly being casting on top of many of those Vikings as well, perhaps getting some more damage. Are they going to be able to take down that last Viking there? And I believe so. That Viking is now down, and now Power Elfi, with such an impressive force of units, is able to complete this game here. We now see an orbital command now trying to lift off. Barracks now trying to run around once again. This one missile turret needs to get shot down. If it takes down that Colossus, that is just a slap in the face. There it goes. And one missile turret able to take down an extended thermal lance range Colossus, but down goes that command center as well. Strelok, I believe he will be revealed. I don't see any SCVs. All he has is one Hellion, and that one Hellion looking to try to deal some damage. Looks like as though the probe's actually going to try to deal some damage back towards that one Hellion. Hellion down to 18 hit points. And now Strelok is currently being revealed. Stalkers will be able to sit by here. And with this current state of the game, even though it looks like it would be a draw, we still have Power Elfi with enough minerals in order to chrono boost and get back into this game. He will be able to get a Stargate, use some Void Rays, shoot down this one barracks over here, and I believe that's going to be GG coming in from Mouse Strelok. So yeah, and I can pretty much call this game. I normally don't like to call games early, but when it is such an obvious conclusion, I don't mind. We have one Banshee over here still, so wow, one Banshee still in the air, but that Banshee doesn't have Cloak. We now have the Archon over here, and that Archon, those Archons are going to be able to finish off, no, not going to be able to finish off the Starport, as that Starport now flying away. The Banshee looking to deal some damage. It does have Cloak, and now going to perhaps deal some damage towards those units here, so this is going to be a complete change of events now. This one Banshee now going after probes. What a complete change, as those probes now trying to run away. The Banshees is a little bit slower, so the Stalkers just need to keep track of where that Banshee is at all times and make sure he doesn't lose any probes. We now see what the Nexus taking some damage. The Banshee will be forced to try to pull back. That Banshee doesn't have infinite energy. That is going to be a problem. And with one Banshee, I do not believe he's going to be able to win this game. We now have one Hellion. The Hellion just looking around, trying to get even more kills, perhaps some additional probes over here. This Banshee now down to 9 energy, will not be able to even deplete the shields of this Nexus. And now the Banshee pulls away. So that Banshee now pulling away. And perhaps Elfi should try to build a forge, and then using a forge get back into this. But he has to be very careful. He only has 2 probes into this, and right now with that Banshee, if he's able to finish off those probes, and if Elfi doesn't have enough minerals for another probe, this will become a pure stalemate, as those units in the buildings on the top left and the bottom right, bottom left and top right, are not able to be hit at all. This one Banshee just trying to save up as much energy as possible. This is just a crazy game. Probes now still being trained up, and now more probes being trained. And what's currently in production? Nothing in the production tab at all. There we go. Now Chrono boosting another probe out of that location here. There is one probe. Oh, the probe, the hell, you're gonna get perhaps some more probe kills, and this is looking really bad once again. Now up to 11 kills. Now down it goes. But wow, he cannot be losing those probes like that. Archon's now trying to finish up the rest of these supply depots and taking down the rest of the buildings here. The Banshee simply just waiting and waiting, and with, well, that Banshee now quickly cloaking itself and now coming in, and we can see that the probes are now trying to run away. The Banshee getting some damage onto this one Nexus, but this Banshee already down to 18 energy will not be able to do all too much. So trying to come in, trying to get more damage, will not be able to. Are we going to perhaps land this one starport or land this one barracks? No. Mouse Strelok says GG. So, and there's the GG coming in from Mouse Strelok. The best thing that Strelok could have possibly hoped for is a draw by taking down those probes and making it so that the buildings on the top left and bottom right were completely indestructible. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Elfi and Strelok here on Metalopolis. Stay tuned for Game 3 in this best of 3 matchup.